What was the Agora? Imagine a place where you could buy fresh fish, hear the latest political gossip, participate in a crucial vote, and maybe even witness a public trial all before lunchtime. Welcome to the Agora, the true nerve center of ancient Greece. The Agora was much more than just a marketplace. In the bustling cities of ancient Greece, it was the beating heart of civic life, a place where commerce, politics, and social interactions came together in a dynamic and often chaotic environment. Every day, the Agora thronged with the sound of merchants hawking their goods, philosophers debating the nature of existence, and citizens engaging in the politics that would shape the future of their city. The Agora was, in many ways, a reflection of Greek society itself, vibrant, diverse, and always changing. It was a place where rich and poor, young and old, and citizens and foreigners mingled in a common space, each with their own agendas but all contributing to the life of the city. Whether you were a powerful statesman, a humble artisan, or a wandering philosopher, the Agora was where everything happened. It was the stage on which Greek life played out in all its complexity. The Agora was the central public space in most ancient Greek cities. It functioned as both a marketplace and a civic center, where people came not only to buy and sell goods, but also to engage in the political, social, and religious activities that were crucial to public life. Unlike modern city squares, which might serve only one function like shopping or public speaking, the Agora was truly multipurpose. In cities like Athens, Corinth, and Sparta, the Agora was where the pulse of daily life could be felt. It was an open space surrounded by buildings, colonnades, and stoas-covered walkways, where merchants set up their stalls, politicians addressed the public, and citizens gathered to discuss the news of the day. The Agora was typically located at the heart of the city, often near important administrative buildings and temples, making it a natural meeting point for all kinds of activities. It was a place of constant interaction and open-air hub that brought people together from all walks of life. Whether you were there to buy fresh produce, attend a public assembly, or meet with friends, the Agora was the place to be. It wasn't just about the business of trading goods. It was about the exchange of ideas, the discussion of laws, and the engagement in civic duties. Picture your local mall, political rally, farmer's market, and courtroom all rolled into one, except with more tunics and a lot more olive oil. In most Greek cities, the Agora was paired with another key public space, the Acropolis. While the Agora was the civic and commercial hub, the Acropolis, often located on a high hill, was the religious and military heart of the city. The Acropolis was home to the most important temples and sanctuaries, as well as defensive structures meant to protect the city from invaders. In Athens, for example, the Acropolis housed the famous Parthenon, a temple dedicated to the city's patron goddess, Athena. The Acropolis stood as a symbol of the city's religious devotion and its military might, while the Agora, located at the foot of the hill, was where everyday life unfolded. Although these spaces served different purposes, they were deeply interconnected. The Acropolis provided spiritual and military protection, while the Agora allowed citizens to gather, trade, and engage in the political processes that made the city function. Together, they represented the two halves of Greek civic life, the divine and the practical, the sacred and the mundane. What made the Agora so special was its multipurpose nature. It wasn't just a place to shop or a venue for public speeches, it was all of that and more. In the Agora, you could run into a philosopher like Socrates, who was always up for a good debate, or you might bump into a politician canvassing support for the next big vote. While you were haggling over the price of grain, you could overhear a group of citizens discussing the latest developments in the city's courts. The Agora functioned as a marketplace where goods from across the Greek world were traded, but it was also a center for civic engagement. In cities like Athens, it was the site of major political events, such as public assemblies where citizens gathered to debate and vote on important matters. It was in the Agora that democracy truly came to life, as people exercised their right to speak, argue, and decide the future of their city. It was also a place for entertainment and spectacle. Public trials often took place in the Agora, drawing crowds eager to see justice or scandal unfold. Sometimes, these trials were high-profile affairs involving famous citizens, and the verdicts could make or break reputations. Festivals, processions, and athletic competitions were also held there, turning the Agora into a space of celebration and community bonding. In short, the Agora was the center of all public life, a space where the commercial, the political, and the social spheres overlapped in ways that made Greek cities lively, complex, and vibrant. While the Agora was a feature of most Greek cities, the way it functioned could vary significantly depending on the city's size, location, and political structure. In Athens, the Agora was not only the economic center, but also the birthplace of democracy, with citizens gathering regularly to participate in public debates and assemblies. In Corinth, a major trading hub, the Agora was more heavily focused on commerce, with goods flowing in from all over the Mediterranean. Meanwhile, in more militaristic cities like Sparta, the Agora had a more subdued role, reflecting the city's emphasis on discipline and austerity over public display. In Athens, the Agora was sprawling and bustling, filled with stoas-covered colonnades where people could walk, talk, and shop. The Stoa of Attalos, one of the most famous buildings in the Athenian Agora, was a long, elegant structure that provided shelter for vendors and citizens alike. The variety of buildings surrounding the Agora showed its many functions. Temples, administrative buildings, law courts, and monuments stood side by side, reflecting the Agora's role as a space that served the economic, political, and religious needs of the city. No matter the city, the Agora was always a space that symbolized public life. It was the place where citizens came together to share news, trade goods, and engage in the kinds of discussions that helped shape their city's futures. The Agora as an economic hub, the Agora wasn't just a space for civic debates and social gatherings. It was also the economic engine of the city, where everyday business was conducted and goods from all corners of the Greek world and beyond were traded. Merchants, artisans, farmers, and even wandering peddlers set up shop in the Agora's market stalls, offering a dizzying array of goods that reflected the diversity and interconnectedness of the ancient Greek economy. From local produce to luxury imports, the Agora was a thriving marketplace that supported both the city's residents and its visitors. Every morning, the Agora would come to life with the sound of vendors setting up their stalls. Some would sell fresh produce, such as fruits, vegetables, and olive oil. Others specialized in pottery, jewelry, or textiles. Fishmongers lined up with their catches from the sea, while butchers prepared fresh cuts of meat for the day's buyers. You could smell the rich aroma of freshly baked bread and hear the calls of merchants vying for customers. For the average citizen, a trip to the Agora was a daily necessity. It was where you went to buy your food, replace worn-out sandals, or perhaps find a new pot for your home. But the marketplace wasn't just about getting supplies, it was also a place for haggling and negotiation. The art of bargaining was alive and well in the Agora, with customers and vendors arguing over the price of a fish or the quality of a piece of cloth. The variety of stalls reflected the social diversity of the Agora's clientele. From the wealthiest citizens buying luxury goods to the poorer folk looking for bargains on basic necessities, the Agora catered to everyone. It was a place where class distinctions often blurred. Everyone needed food, after all, and the Agora was where they came to get it. Haggling in the Agora wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. Imagine arguing for 20 minutes over the price of an olive, only to find out your neighbor got a better deal. Classic agora drama. What made the agora truly unique was its role as a global market. Ancient Greece wasn't an isolated world, it was part of a larger Mediterranean trading network that connected cities from Egypt to Italy to Asia Minor. The agora was a reflection of this interconnectedness, as goods from distant lands found their way into the stalls. You could find grain from Egypt, wine from Crete, pottery from Corinth, and spices from the East. Traders from as far away as Phoenicia and Persia would come to sell their wares, bringing exotic products that added to the variety of goods on offer. The agora became a place where the Mediterranean economy converged and where Greek citizens could experience a taste of the wider world through the products they bought. Luxury items were also popular in the agora. Wealthier citizens would buy ivory combs, silver cups, and fine textiles dyed with Tyrian purple, a highly prized color made from rare sea snails. For those who couldn't afford such luxuries, the agora still offered a range of practical goods, from iron tools to everyday pottery, making it accessible to people from all economic backgrounds. The presence of so many foreign goods not only stimulated the economy, but also created a sense of cultural exchange. Greek citizens might not have traveled far from their home city, but in the agora, they could get a taste of distant lands simply by browsing the market stalls. As the economy of ancient Greece grew more sophisticated, the use of currency became more widespread. The agora was where this new monetary system came to life, with merchants accepting coins as the primary form of payment. The most common coins were made of silver, although some were bronze or gold, depending on their value. Cities like Athens even minted their own coins, which featured symbols like the owl, representing Athena, the city's patron goddess. However, not everything was done with coins. Barter was still a common practice in the agora, especially in rural areas or for smaller transactions. If you didn't have the right amount of coinage, you could always try to trade goods. Farmers might exchange grain for tools, or a potter could offer his wares in return for fresh produce. Despite the increasing role of currency, trust and reputation were still key elements of trade in the agora. Merchants who developed good relationships with their customers could expect repeat business, while those who were known for cheating or overcharging might find themselves losing customers quickly. The agora operated on a delicate balance of competition and trust, where reputation could make or break a merchant's livelihood. To maintain order in such a bustling marketplace, the agora needed rules and regulations. Greek cities had officials known as agoranomoi, who were responsible for overseeing the market. Their duties included making sure that vendors were selling quality products, weighing goods fairly, and preventing fraud or price gouging. In Athens, these officials also kept an eye on the currency in circulation, ensuring that coins were not counterfeit and the transactions were carried out honestly. There were strict penalties for those caught cheating customers, and public humiliation was often part of the punishment. The agora was not only a space for trade, but also a place where the laws of commerce were enforced to ensure fairness. Regulating the market wasn't just about ensuring fair trade, it was also about maintaining the city's reputation. A city with a well-run agora attracted more merchants and customers, boosting the local economy and bringing in revenue through taxes and tariffs. In this sense, the agora was an important part of the city's identity and its success as a commercial hub. The agora as a political arena, the agora wasn't just the commercial hub of ancient Greek cities. It was also their political heart. It was here, amid the bustling market stalls and noisy traders, that some of the most important political decisions of the ancient world were made. The agora was where democracy, as we know it, took its first steps. Citizens gathered to debate, vote, and participate in the shaping of their city's future. The open, public nature of the Agora made it the perfect place for free speech, where anyone, at least among the male citizens, could stand and make their voice heard. In cities like Athens, which is often celebrated as the birthplace of democracy, the Agora was more than just a space for trade. It was the place where political life unfolded. Major decisions about the city's government, laws, and foreign policy were discussed and debated openly in the Agora. It was where citizens assembled to exercise their right to participate in the democratic process, making it one of the earliest public forums for civic engagement in history. The Agora in Athens, in particular, was home to various important political buildings, such as the Bouleuterion, where the Council of 500, the bull, would meet to prepare legislation for the Athenian assembly. Nearby was the Tholos, the headquarters for the city's executives, who oversaw the day-to-day administration of Athens. All around the Agora, political life buzzed with activity. This open, accessible space allowed ordinary citizens to engage with politics in a way that was unprecedented in history. Athenian democracy was direct, meaning that citizens didn't elect representatives to make decisions for them. They participated in the debates and votes themselves. The Agora was where this hands-on democracy played out. The Agora was a place where words held power. In a society where oratory and rhetoric were highly prized, the ability to speak well in public could make or break a political career. For citizens who hoped to influence the direction of their city, mastering the art of persuasion was essential, and the Agora provided the stage for this. Citizens gathered to listen to speeches, often given by prominent statesmen or aspiring politicians. These speeches could range from proposals for new laws to passionate arguments about matters of war and peace. The key to success in the Agora was the ability to convince the crowd, whether through logical argument, emotional appeal, or simply by outshouting your opponent. Rhetoric schools flourished in ancient Greece, where young men learned the techniques of public speaking that would serve them well in the Agora. Figures like Demosthenes, one of the greatest orators of ancient Athens, honed their skills in these public spaces, using the Agora to win over the public and gain political support. But public speaking in the Agora wasn't just for the elites. Any citizen could stand up and voice their opinion. In fact, this was encouraged as part of Athenian democracy. The Agora became a forum where free speech wasn't just a right, it was a civic duty. The Agora was more than just a venue for speeches, it was the very place where democracy was born. In Athens, democratic assemblies were held in the Agora, where citizens gathered to debate and vote on the laws that would govern their city. This wasn't democracy in the modern, representative sense. It was direct democracy, meaning that citizens themselves were directly involved in making decisions. The Pnyx, a hill near the Agora, served as the main meeting place for the Athenian assembly, where up to 6,000 male citizens would gather to discuss important issues. However, the Agora played a crucial role in the lead-up to these assemblies. It was in the Agora that citizens first heard the proposals for new laws and policies, where they debated among themselves, and where they decided how they would vote. Democracy in Athens was radical for its time. It gave power to ordinary citizens, allowing them to have a direct say in how the city was run. This level of participation was unheard of in other parts of the ancient world, and the Agora was the space that made it possible. It was here that the idea of government by the people, for the people, took root, shaping the political landscape not just of Athens, but of Western civilization. If you've ever been frustrated by long lines at the voting booth, just remember at least you didn't have to debate your vote in front of thousands of fellow citizens first. The Agora wasn't just a place for politicians, it was also the stomping ground of some of the greatest philosophers in history. Figures like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle were known to frequent the Agora, using it as a space to share their ideas and challenge the norms of society. Socrates, in particular, became famous for his habit of wandering the Agora, engaging citizens in conversation, and using his Socratic method to question their beliefs and assumptions. His dialogues, many of which are preserved through the writings of Plato, often took place in the Agora, where Socrates could ask everyday people probing questions about justice, virtue, and the meaning of life. For Socrates, the Agora was the perfect place to test his ideas. It was a space filled with people of all walks of life, where philosophical debates could unfold in real time. His willingness to engage with anyone, from politicians to shopkeepers, was part of what made him such a revolutionary thinker. The Agora, with its openness and accessibility, became the classroom for some of the most important intellectual developments of the ancient world. Other philosophers, like Diogenes, known for his extreme cynicism, also made the Agora their home. Diogenes famously wandered through the Agora carrying a lantern during the day, claiming to be searching for an honest man. His antics may have been bizarre, but they were a reminder that the Agora was a space for challenging societal norms and provoking deeper thought. The Agora and social life. The Agora may have been a center of politics and commerce, but it was also the beating heart of social life in ancient Greek cities. It wasn't just where you went to buy bread or hear about the latest political debate, it was where you went to see and be seen, where gossip was traded as eagerly as olives, and where the scandals of the day were discussed by everyone. From the lowly fish seller to the city's wealthiest elites, everyone passed through the Agora, and with them came stories, rumors, and drama. In this vibrant, public space, no secret stayed hidden for long, and no scandal went unnoticed. Imagine walking through the Agora on a sunny afternoon. Merchants are calling out to passers-by, offering discounts on their goods, and politicians are gathering small crowds for impromptu speeches. But just as important as the business happening in the stalls is the social buzz that fills the air. Groups of citizens stand around, exchanging the latest gossip about the city's leaders, discussing the outcome of the most recent public trial, or simply chatting about who's getting married and who's having a baby. The Agora wasn't just a place to shop or talk politics. It was where you went to meet friends, hear the latest news, and catch up on the lives of your neighbors. In the absence of newspapers or social media, the Agora was where people learned about what was happening in their city. It was a place of community interaction, where social networks were strengthened and where friendships were forged or tested. The Agora was also a place for networking. If you were a young man looking to make connections, the Agora was the ideal place to strike up conversations with influential figures, engage in debates, or simply be seen in the right company. For merchants, it was also a key space to make deals, not just for immediate sales, but to build relationships with regular customers or future trading partners. The Agora was also the epicenter of public scandals, where the personal lives of politicians, merchants, and even ordinary citizens were on display for all to see. In a society where public opinion mattered greatly, the Agora became a space where reputations were made or destroyed. If someone committed a public wrongdoing, whether it was a breach of law, an unethical business practice, or even just social misconduct, word spread quickly through the Agora. One of the most notorious features of the Agora was the practice of public humiliation. For those who broke the law or engaged in disgraceful behavior, punishment was often carried out in public for everyone to witness. This could include public flogging, exile, or even more symbolic punishments like being paraded through the Agora wearing a sign of your crime. For crimes of dishonesty, such as cheating in business, offenders could be forced to stand before the crowd while their offense was announced to all. These punishments served both as a deterrent to others and as a form of public entertainment. For many citizens, the sight of a public trial or the punishment of a prominent figure was as much a social event as it was a legal proceeding. While scandals and punishments certainly drew crowds, the Agora was also a space for celebration and entertainment. Festivals were common in Greek cities, and many of them took place in or around the Agora. During religious festivals, the Agora would be decorated with garlands and filled with stalls offering special foods, gifts, and items for sacrifice. It became a space of joyful celebration, where citizens gathered to honor the gods and join in the festivities. In addition to religious events, the Agora also hosted a variety of public spectacles. Theatrical performances, competitions, and even athletic contests were sometimes held in the Agora, drawing large crowds eager to watch the events unfold. Actors, musicians, and poets would perform in the open space, while citizens cheered on their favorite competitors in local games. The Agora, in these moments, transformed from a place of politics and commerce into a space of cultural and artistic expression. These events fostered a sense of community and shared identity among the city's residents. They weren't just there to sell goods or argue over politics, they were also there to enjoy life, celebrate their culture, and take part in the public life that made their city vibrant. While Greek society was largely male-dominated, the Agora wasn't entirely closed off to women. Though their role in the Agora was limited compared to men, women did participate in certain aspects of public life. Female merchants sometimes ran stalls selling food, textiles, or pottery, and women could be found accompanying their families during festivals and religious events. Certain women, particularly priestesses, held important roles in religious ceremonies that took place in or around the Agora. However, for the most part, women were expected to stay out of the political debates and social gatherings that dominated the Agora. This didn't mean that they were completely removed from its gossip and drama. Women often heard about the latest goings-on through their husbands, sons, or other male relatives, and they could indirectly influence public opinion from within their households. There were also exceptions to these norms. Some women of higher status, particularly those involved in religious activities, played more prominent public roles, participating in festivals and even managing economic ventures. While women weren't typically part of the political life of the Agora, their presence still contributed to its vibrant social fabric. While men were busy debating politics, you can bet that women had their own Agora, probably in the kitchens and courtyards, where they could swap stories and keep up with the latest gossip, all while baking the day's bread. The legacy of the Agora, the ancient Greek Agora, wasn't just the center of life for Greek cities, it became a model that has echoed through the centuries, influencing the way modern societies think about public spaces, markets, and even democracy itself. Its unique blend of commerce, politics, and social interaction laid the groundwork for public squares, marketplaces, and the civic centers we see today in cities around the world. The legacy of the Agora can be found in the very way we structure our cities, organize public life, and even how we conduct business and politics. In the cities of the ancient world, the Agora stood as a blueprint for how public spaces could function. Its open, multi-purpose layout allowed for the convergence of many different activities: commerce, political debate, socializing, and even entertainment. This idea of a central public space that could serve multiple functions has endured through time, becoming the model for town squares, plazas, and marketplaces in modern cities. In ancient Rome, for instance, the Agora's influence can be seen in the design of the Roman Forum, which served as the heart of Roman public life. Like the Agora, the Forum was a space where citizens gathered to trade, debate, and participate in civic events. The Romans expanded on the Greek model, making their forums larger and more grandiose. But the basic concept of central space for public interaction remained the same. As cities grew throughout history, the idea of a common gathering place persisted. From the piazzas of Renaissance Italy to the plazas in Spanish colonial cities in the Americas, public squares became essential parts of urban life. Even in today's cities, the legacy of the Agora can be seen in places like Times Square in New York, Piazza San Marco in Venice, and Trafalgar Square in London, places where people gather to shop, protest, socialize, and celebrate. The design of these spaces encourages openness, allowing people from different walks of life to come together in one shared area. Just like the Agora, these public spaces become the beating heart of their cities, where daily life unfolds in all its complexity. The Agora's influence on the way we trade and conduct business can be felt in modern markets around the world. From outdoor markets to sprawling urban shopping districts, the Agora's legacy as a commercial hub continues to shape how we shop and exchange goods. Many of today's flea markets, farmers markets, and bazaars owe their structure to the open-air stalls of the Agora. These markets still follow the basic principles established in ancient Greece. Vendors set up stalls in a common space, and buyers wander between them, comparing prices and haggling over goods. The sense of community and the direct interaction between sellers and buyers that defined the ancient Agora is still alive in these modern markets. Even shopping malls and department stores are, in some ways, descendants of the Agora. The idea of bringing together a variety of vendors in one centralized location, where people can browse, buy, and socialize, follows the same principles that made the Agora so successful. Though malls are enclosed and climate-controlled, they serve much the same purpose as the ancient Agora place for people to come together, not just to shop, but to engage with their community. In many ways, the Agora helped to establish the concept of consumer culture, where the marketplace becomes a central part of social life. Today, whether we're walking through a local market or browsing an online marketplace, we're participating in an economic system that has its roots in the ancient Greek Agora. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Agora is its role in the development of democracy. The Athenian Agora was the birthplace of direct democracy, where citizens gathered to debate, vote, and decide the future of their city. This concept of public participation in government has influenced political systems around the world, particularly in the development of modern democratic states. While today's democracies are largely representative, where citizens elect officials to make decisions on their behalf, the principles of public debate and civic engagement that were practiced in the Agora remain central to democratic life. The Agora showed the world that free speech, open discussion, and participatory government are essential to a healthy political system. The structures of modern parliaments, congresses, and town halls all reflect the spirit of the Agora, where political debate was public and accessible to all citizens, at least male citizens in ancient Greece. Today, political rallies, public hearings, and even protests are the modern equivalents of the gatherings that took place in the Agora, where citizens can voice their opinions and influence government decisions. The concept of accountability that politicians must answer to the public is another key part of the Agora's legacy. In ancient Greece, public officials could be called to account by their fellow citizens in the Agora, and their actions were always subject to public scrutiny. This idea is central to modern democratic systems, where politicians are elected by the people and can be voted out of office if they fail to meet public expectations. The Agora wasn't just a political and economic space, it was also a center for culture and philosophy. Some of the greatest thinkers in history, from Socrates to Plato to Aristotle, engaged in debates and discussions in the Agora, helping to shape the philosophical foundations of Western civilization. Many of the ideas that were first developed in the Agora, such as Socratic questioning, Platonic ideals, and Aristotelian logic, continue to influence modern philosophy, ethics, and political theory. The tradition of public debate that began in the Agora laid the groundwork for the development of Western philosophy and the concept of intellectual exchange as a public activity. Today, this legacy can be seen in the way universities, public forums, and academic institutions function. The concept of open intellectual discourse, where ideas are debated and refined through public conversation, has its roots in the Agora. In fact, the modern university campus, with its public lectures, open discussions, and forums for debate, can be seen as a descendant of the ancient Greek Agora. The Agora's influence also extends to the modern concept of the public intellectual figures who engage with society, critique culture, and challenge political systems. This tradition, which began with figures like Socrates, remains alive today in scholars, writers, and activists who use public platforms to provoke thought and inspire change. The legacy of the Agora extends far beyond ancient Greece. From modern marketplaces and public squares to the principles of democracy and intellectual debate, the Agora shaped the development of Western civilization in profound ways. Its influence can be seen in the design of cities, the structure of markets, the practice of democracy, and even the way we engage with philosophical ideas today. The Agora was more than just a marketplace, it was a civic institution, a space where the economic, political, and intellectual life of the city converged. Even in the modern world, we continue to feel the Agora's impact every time we gather in a public square, cast a vote, or engage in a public debate. The Agora's enduring influence reminds us of the importance of open, public spaces where citizens can come together to trade, talk, and shape the future of their communities. And now, after exploring how the Agora shaped everything from political systems to shopping habits, what do you think? Have you ever stood in a public square or participated in a civic event and felt the distant echo of the ancient Greek Agora?
By my side, intense, strong, no fear to face, nowhere to hide, intense. I subscribe to this channel, click like today, because content like this just lights my way, intense and slow.